You keep returning to the same person in your thoughts, not because they are powerful, but because something unresolved moves beneath their surface. What you sense is not clarity, but pressure, an inner struggle quietly leaking into your awareness. As you listen, that hidden tension begins to take shape. The person who occupies your thoughts does so not through presence alone, but through a subtle psychological imprint formed by unresolved inner conflict. You notice that their image returns without effort, appearing in quiet moments and unguarded pauses. Psychologically, this persistence is not random. It reflects an impression that was not fully processed at the time it was formed. You did not simply observe this person. You absorbed something of their internal state. Patterns suggest that what remains active in the mind is rarely what was clear or complete. It is what felt unfinished. Their words may have been controlled, their demeanor composed, yet something underneath failed to settle. Internally, your mind registered that dissonance. The imprint forms when perception meets contradiction. You sensed coherence on the surface, but strain beneath it. The psyche responds to such strain by holding the image in suspension, not to resolve it, but to keep it available. This is how unresolved inner conflict transfers its weight outward, without conscious intent. You may recall specific moments rather than the whole person. A look that lingered too long. A pause where something should have been said. Psychologically, these fragments carry more force than overt behavior. They signal pressure within the other person that never found expression. Your mind keeps returning to these moments because they feel charged, not explained. Internally, attention follows tension. The psyche is drawn to what appears stable, yet subtly compromised. What occupies your thoughts is not dominance or mystery, but imbalance. The person's unresolved state created a psychological vacuum, and perception moved toward it naturally. You are not thinking about who they are in full. You are thinking about what did not align. The mind is sensitive to fractures, especially those hidden behind structure. It recognizes when an external figure is managing something internally, rather than living in coherence. This is how the imprint sustains itself. Not through memory alone, but through an unresolved psychological exchange. Their inner conflict did not remain contained. It registered in you as something incomplete, something suspended. Quietly, persistently, it continues to surface, asking nothing, explaining nothing, simply remaining present. This imprint is sustained by inconsistency, moments of intensity followed by withdrawal, creating a tension that the mind instinctively attempts to resolve. You become aware of a rhythm that never settles into predictability. Psychologically, it is not the intensity itself that holds your attention, but the sudden absence that follows it. Patterns suggest that the mind is especially responsive to interrupted sequences. When engagement is offered and then removed, perception does not close. It stays open. Internally, something remains alert, as though waiting for the next movement. This is how inconsistency creates psychological momentum without effort. You recall periods when their presence felt pronounced, almost concentrated. Words carried weight. Attention felt directed. Then, without explanation, that energy receded. The shift was not dramatic, but it was precise. Psychologically, such shifts register as unresolved signals rather than completed interactions. The mind attempts coherence by replaying what lacked continuity. It is not seeking reassurance, but structure. Inconsistency disrupts the natural beginning and ending pattern the psyche relies on. Internally, this disruption is experienced as tension rather than confusion. You may notice that calm moments do not erase this effect. Silence does not settle it. Patterns suggest that withdrawal following intensity sharpens awareness rather than dulls it. The absence becomes active. It occupies space. It feels charged, not empty. This dynamic does not require overt conflict. It operates quietly, a brief closeness followed by emotional distance, a sense of being seen, then unacknowledged. Psychologically, these contrasts amplify one another. The mind records the change more strongly than either state alone. Internally, attention adjusts to unpredictability by remaining engaged. It becomes watchful, not anxious but suspended. The psyche holds the image in place because the sequence never completed itself. Something began, then paused without resolution. What sustains the imprint is not attachment, but unfinished rhythm. The alternation between presence and absence creates a psychological loop. Each return to thought is an attempt to locate the missing transition. Not consciously, but structurally. You are responding to a pattern rather than a person. The inconsistency shaped the experience more than any singular interaction. Psychologically, the mind does not release what lacks closure. It keeps it near, not to act, but to maintain internal balance. This is how tension persists, quietly, without demand. The inconsistency does not announce itself as a problem. It simply leaves the psyche holding an open sequence, internally aware that something moved, then stopped, without explanation. Beneath the outward confidence or detachment lies a fragmented self-structure, where control functions as a defense against internal instability. You sense this not through overt behavior, but through a subtle rigidity in how the person presents themselves. Psychologically, control often appears where coherence is fragile. Patterns suggest that what looks like certainty is frequently a compensatory structure. The composed exterior does not arise from inner alignment, but from the need to manage competing internal states. Internally, this management requires constant effort. You perceive that effort indirectly, as restraint rather than ease. The confidence you observe feels maintained rather than lived. It does not expand or soften. It holds its shape. Psychologically, such containment indicates fragmentation, where parts of the self are kept separate to prevent internal conflict from surfacing. Control becomes the organizing principle. You notice how emotion is regulated rather than expressed. Responses are measured. Reactions feel calculated. Internally, this suggests a system designed to prevent destabilization. The self is held together by structure, not integration. Patterns suggest that detachment serves a similar function. Distance is not absence, but protection. It limits exposure. It reduces the risk of internal disruption. Psychologically, detachment and control often coexist, reinforcing one another to maintain stability. You may sense that spontaneity is limited. There is little room for deviation. The person remains within defined boundaries. Internally, this reflects an environment where unpredictability feels threatening. Control provides predictability, when the inner landscape feels unstable. The fragmentation itself remains unseen. It does not announce distress. Instead, it produces an over-reliance on order. Psychologically, when inner parts are not reconciled, the psyche compensates by tightening external regulation. Control becomes the language of safety, that you respond to this structure without naming it. Something feels firm but brittle, composed but constrained. Patterns suggest that such rigidity transmits a subtle tension. The psyche recognizes when stability is being enforced rather than embodied. Internally, you register this as pressure rather than conflict. The person does not appear overwhelmed, yet the effort to remain intact is perceptible. Control leaves traces. It shapes interactions. It limits emotional range. What you encounter is not arrogance or indifference. It is a defensive architecture. Psychologically, this architecture is effective but costly. It maintains function while concealing fragmentation. The mind detects this imbalance intuitively. You are drawn not to the surface traits, but to the strain beneath them. The controlled exterior signals that something internally requires containment. Quietly, consistently, that signal remains present, shaping perception without ever becoming explicit.